My name is Konstantin Sedarkov. I am the director on working with the partners in contact, and I am the moderator of the session dedicated to music. I will not expand and all of us are a little bit tired. That's why we need to open our energy resources, and for that, let's be inspiring with information that will be of use. Let me introduce participants of the discussion. We'll start from Ivan Klimov, the head of the licensing group of Yandex, and you should give him a storm of applause. Valeria Brusnikina, the Deputy Director General in RIS and the Vice Chairwoman of IP Chain. Director on Marketing of Warner Music, Alexander Kasparov. Operational Director of Fresh Tunes, Andrei Rudetskich. Valery Drobish, the Director General of Startup Music. I would like you to also applaud to the possible participants of the discussion, Maxim Dmitriev and Oleg Nekrasov, Director General of NRIS Company. They will also participate in our discussion with maybe interesting facts to share. There are microphones that every speaker can use in the most comfortable way to participate in the dialogue. What I would like to start from are the streaming services, because on the market a big revolution took place. Music consumption has changed. Compared to the times of traditional radio and musical television, created new stars, artists which were very popular all around the country. The consumption of content changed, and the platforms of those stars are different. Now these are streaming services as Yandex Music, In Contact, Apple Music. We will start our discussion from what Yandex did in the last decade in music. And I would like Ivan to tell us about their achievements, about how the revolution in music industry impacted Yandex. Good afternoon, colleagues. As a short introduction, I would like to say that Yandex historically was a search engine, and the main business that Yandex is still earning money is search. And 10 years ago, my colleagues created the idea, a very simple solution for all musical requests. We wanted to have something to respond with, a block on the web page to find the musical track that the person was looking for. 1 year after, a full-fledged service was developed, one of the first legal streaming services in Russia and in CIS countries. And in the first place, Yandex Music was always the promoter of the Yandex philosophy to provide what people were looking for. Later, rebranding of music took place, and our ideology also changed in principle slightly. Yandex Music separated into a full-fledged business. It increased its scale. We were the first to start a charged music application. And in the beginning, it was clear that on the market there were mostly pirate services, and the consumption, charge consumption was non-existent, and people didn't understand why they need to pay when it was available for free. But with our colleagues, right owners, we developed the model of charged model upon subscription. This model proved to be its adequacy and efficiency thanks to the legislative initiatives which were introduced. Many services realized that legal music is the future. And the model proved its ability to increase its scale, and the business proved its feasibility. And Yandex Music, at the same time, is evolving, and we are becoming a service to be able to recommend the consumer what to listen. And there are two types of consumption in the company, not two types of consumption, two moods of a consumer. When you know exactly what you want, you come and you get what you want. And when you are not sure what you want, and then we advise you what can possibly be liked for you. And this is how we attract new clients. Recommendations, we believe this component of our work is focused on the future. We are using different ways, different mechanisms of monetization, and as our Chinese colleagues proved, the majority of to be able to earn most of the money through music, it's necessary to introduce new mechanisms, and this Chinese company earns 70% of its money not from subscription, and this is what we are driving at in the future. That was my short introduction. Ivan, I have an additional question. I want to know what, in your opinion, are the main peculiarities of Yandex, making you different from other players. Yandex originally was a technological company. Yandex Music, as a service belonging to Yandex, uses in developing its recommendation in its analytical products. It uses recommendations of Yandex Big Data, and Yandex being a top worldwide organization, has great expertise, and it helps us a lot to develop. On the other hand, we are an active actor of hardware, and we develop our own products. For instance, there was a column was introduced, and the service is supported by Alisa, a sound assistant, which allows to respond to all kinds of musical scenarios. There are also other various hardware things, such as telephone, Yandex Auto device for cars. Yandex is actively working in this direction, and the musical scenario is not the last service to be developed, and Yandex Music is developing also in this direction. As it seems to me, these are our strong points. I believe that in the second part of our discussion, we will discuss plans. As far as I know, you have many interesting things related to the experience of our Chinese colleagues, and this is a big topic for discussion. Now, I would like to pass the floor to Valeria Brusnikina. Valeria, I would like you to tell us all about how your company in Riz and IP Chain Company help in licensing of catalogs, in the correct grading of copyrights, because this is an important topic. I wouldn't have described it as the main problem, but as soon as there was a big step forward in this direction, please tell us how you help authors to protect their intellectual rights.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I would like to start by saying that the market we are having now, and as it has existed, it's changed. Now we have a high number of applications, and the way how music is created by artificial intelligence. At the forum, we have already discussed whom the copyright belongs. And there are many copyright holders who do not want to work the same way as they used to before. So it's just selling your rights to somebody who will promote it everywhere and benefit from that. Individual copyright holders prefer to promote their music themselves. They prefer to decide on their own where they should deliver this, and they do not want to share it with anyone. And the sad story is about there is a lot of various content, and how to manage all titles most effectively. You cannot do it without digitalization. In the morning, we considered a case when a composer created a track and sold it for $2, and then some composers sent him a video clip showing that it's used, and he was unhappy. He said, I was selling it at $2, but what's going on? So it's all about cross-border aspects. It's so simple now to deliver anything everywhere in the world. After you have created something, how do you manage it most effectively? How should you do it? Whether you should try to find any illegal use online or any other way? The market needs to be reshaped. When you go to the virtual world, then it's like in the Western world, the strongest one survives. But you need simple tools so that any copyright holder, no matter how strong he is and how much money he has, to work and be creative, if you give him tools helping to do so. When we speak about IP chain, it's exactly which helps you. It concerns music as well. It helps you trace where your musical item is, who holds the rights, what license agreements were entered into, and how to recode the information based on IP chain. Commercial services will be created, and the end rights holder, like in bars and restaurants, musicians know that the content need to be delivered to some place which helps promote the musical piece in the most effective way. If you are supposed to manage, so INRIS is exactly the company which helps you do so. If you need protection against illegal use on the internet, in search engines, including Vkontakte, we know that in VK, many users post their content illegally. It's about providing customers with reports and other services, providing users with the required tools. Do you show the figures about the number of those referring to you and asking for support? Over the last 5 years, I cannot say. Some 2 years ago, we didn't have it. Last year, we introduced IP chain. Now it's a network which is connected to Rospatent and other major copyright holders. How it works. There is a copyright holder who goes to RAW or Weisel to enter into an agreement and record his right. And then there is the Formix service, which provides music to a high number of users. It provides the phonogram to an end restaurant and determines who and how many times have used this music and where. And then some remuneration will be calculated. I agree, if you are not digitized and or automated, this information flow cannot be traced, I'm sure. This platform needs, it will be developed, and most likely at some stage it will go out Russia. It will go outside Russia. We will talk about it later. This section today is unique because here we present ways of a performer of some musical content from creators on behalf of copyright holders. Let's speak with the second part of our room with copyright holders, and I think we should start with one of the biggest players in Russia and world, Warner Music, Alexander Kasparov, marketing department. Before you start, may I ask you a question? What's the difference between the work in the Russian market and your experience abroad? And what are your achievements?
I start from afar. There is an organization, IPI, the organization representing the sound recording world, and the report for 2018 was published recently, and it's very positive. The cost of the musical market has reached nearly $20 billion. This is a big figure, and we are experiencing the rise of this sector, and this is happening thanks to what has happened with technologies, which made it possible to legalize, to monetize through internet and legalize this market. And what we see is a boom. There are pluses and minuses, but first I will make a global introduction. In the past, we had CD format CDs. We sold them, and that was the golden age. 20 years after, we are in the same situation. Everything is fine. Services are working. Apple, Spotify, VK, and Yandex, and a lot of other local services, which are of local significance, not international ones, in China, in the Far East. But now they're thinking what the next step will be, what the next stage will be, what will happen next, what will happen with the technologies, where the music distribution monetization will go to. The answer is not there yet, but with time something is going to happen. New formats will appear, new ways of dissemination of music, of spreading music. Now we are only talking about that, but the industry is growing, and specifically in Russia. In Russia, it was a big step forward, and we have the best anti-piracy legislative frameworks, and legal services are now boosting, including Gramzapise company. Warner's in Russia. Before it became Warner's, for 25 years, it was Gala Records, founded in 1988. So we have great experience of working on the Russian market. And for us, two priorities were left from the beginning. Firstly, the Russian artists, and we are very active promoting them. And the second priority is to preserve the spirit of an independent label. We are always open to interesting proposals. We are searching for artists outside Warner. We support them. We promote them worldwide. It can be a French group, it can be a Turkish DJ. This is what we are still doing. We work with Warner catalog, and another tendency, which is a worldwide one, is that label as a global machine is losing its momentum, because in every country, every local music is getting more and more popular. It's occupying a greater and greater place. That's in the Netherlands, this is in Germany, this is in Southern Europe, Italy and Spain. It was always traditionally there. The same is happening in Russia. And if you look at in contact charts and other charts of other services, 70-30% is or 80% versus 20%, and 80% are works of Russian musicians, artists, performers. Very often they say, why do we need labels? Every person can release something. Yes, it is possible, but show me a great success in charts or a song. Yes, there are such products, but without a label, it is very difficult to achieve the great success which can be only achieved with the label. And if there is no label in the background as a backup with its resources in marketing, in legality, it supports artists in all aspects, then it will be very difficult without a label for an artist to develop its successful. For us as a label, it's important to develop artists. We need to have the next generation of those artists. This is our main task. A label stops its existing if it just passes a catalog and becomes an archive. We are not of that kind. We are not a company of that kind. And then the second side of the coin is that every day, and this is what I'm repeating regularly, every day we need to prove to artists that it was worth signing a contract with us. This is the idea that we should wake up with, and we should keep in mind going to bed. And this union will be always beneficial, and it will have good outcomes. And if we speak about our contacts and links with platforms, with shops, with distributors, this is a very important part of our work, this cooperation. And here we were talking about who was the first, a chicken, a hen, or an egg. One thing can't exist with another. Services cannot exist without music, and we can't exist without distribution through services. Services sometimes directly involve artists, and labels try to invent their own distribution models. I don't believe in that. Every person should do what he is an expert in. Live Nation once opened their label, started, and they promoted Madonna and U2, but it didn't result in anything, and they rejected that idea. There will be some crisscrossings, but in the near future, every actor will play its role. A local catalog and artists, they add weight to platforms, participating at international conferences and being in panels with streaming services from other continents. And they were all saying that local music is also promoting a local product. I think this is a very good trend. And it's great, it's cool that in the last 2-3 years we are experiencing this influx of new names which are appearing on a monthly basis. Alexander, thanks. Let's continue talking to right owners. Andrei Rudetsky, you have your presentation to be shown. Please immerse us in what your company does and what your main achievements are.
Maybe I'm not going to speak more about my company Fresh Tunes. It's a technology platform which helps individual users. I will speak more about the musical market. What are the trends? How do the actors interact, and how are they going to do so in the future? And what will be the effect from synergy? Alexander has already noted in the beginning of April, FPI, I wanted to present you in more detail the musical market. So it's $19.1 billion. It keeps growing, and the key driver has been the sale of musical content in the digital area. And then it's about streaming. Konstantin mentioned in the beginning, earlier today. So it was based on an increase in streaming flows. It's also about physical media. A decrease was 21 and 10% respectively. If we speak about the musical market development, then the Latin America countries show biggest growth, and then South Korea, which demonstrated with their boys bands demonstrated a significant growth. That's what Valeria said. There is a cross-border aspect. Anyone can suddenly enter any market, let's say in the States or elsewhere. Who provides income? There are several types. I divided them into international platforms. We have iPhone and iTunes. It's a leading platform in the world, Spotify. This year, it will come to Russia if nothing happens. I hope you will manage it. I would also say YouTube Music. This platform is growing rapidly, and there are some possibilities. Based on Android. They rely on local catalogs as well for the Russian market. I would mention a platform because most people normally ask about Yandex and VK. And please look at the figures. According to IPI, 38% of users normally listen to music from illegal sources, and there is a potential for market in this context. How to limit this content, how to generate profit in favor of performers. Who provides the basis in the market? Performers, first of all, musicians at various stages. They have some requirements. It can be a newcomer or it can be an experienced musician, young girls or boys. Their first objective is to communicate their music to end users. Sometimes they don't know where to post their musical products. And Fresh Tunes or City Baby and many others, they help them do so. They address many issues, but they cannot cover all the problems young musicians are faced in the beginning. In the digital market, we sometimes are not capable of helping them with comprehensive marketing support. When musicians go to the next level, I support Alexander. They should switch to labels, and they should find support with some labels. If you look at the pyramid I've been just showing, they will become most famous at the upper level, and it will be only 10% who will achieve that. The rest will remain at the other levels. Due to the facts, due to some restrictions and limitations, they cannot promote their music independently. Speaking about the market players, there are aggregators and labels. An aggregator is an innovative platform which facilitates young musicians access to the market and open up access to a wide range of shops. But the resources are limited to protect their copyright. And regarding labels, they are strong at protecting rights, copyright, and but very often they are limited in terms of technology. A synergy between these two market players is possible. Labels can make use of the aggregators' advantages and put them under their wing. More than 250,000 performers were registered. Labels cannot cover so many performers, and aggregators will never take the side of labels and eat their bread. Speaking about aggregators available, I've prepared this diagram showing a great variety of them. Some were established, have been established recently, and some are older. The aggregators' history is international. They represent 141 countries. They're presented all over the world, and they communicate in various languages. About the volume of their services, services are provided, some basic services are provided to new performers, that you can upload music through iTunes or via other ways. How to become popular for a young performer? You can use a digital aggregator. It's more expensive than fresh tunes. It benefits from musicians' sales. I deliberately emphasized Oval. It was created last year. They have a unique model which can provide the synergy and help musicians to distribute their content for free. At the same time, what they do, they select musicians, and as soon as they see a potential among them, they promote them at a higher level. And as Valeria has said, there is the iTunes platform. It collects performers from all over, and they can take advantage of iTunes platform, and we also have this NCA and IP chain, which can help labels and protect those performers' copyright and help them grow as musicians. Yeah, I think it's been very comprehensive to motivate others in the hall. VK Music, we support most interesting questions, and I think today we will present you most interesting subscriptions as a bonus. At the end, we will spend 5 to 10 minutes for questions, And for you, I think you can just try to fix it in mind what you would like to ask. Our discussion is also interesting when bigger companies tell about their success, meaning there are tens of thousands of people trying to promote their music. It will be interesting to know what about smaller labels, because they also try to eat their part of the pie. Valery Drobish will tell us about startup Drobish, how a young musician can enter the market. Yes, it's difficult.
Good afternoon. I would like to get back to the most important, to music. We deviated far away to digitalization and so on and so forth. This is all cool, but as an independent actor, as an independent player, primarily look at music, which is the most important. First, you need to produce something and then offer it to the market. This is what it used to be. Now people do whatever they want, and they bring to the market whatever they want. And this fills in the catalog with big and small labels earning money, but what is lost is the quality of content. Correspondingly, I will say my thanks to IP Chain as players, because in the past, in the future, small labels, startups will address those services, because you shouldn't forget that a small label is a person who finds one or two small stars, saw some capacity in those and tries to develop it. But as you understand, the development of this capacity is very difficult, and it takes time, it takes money, and so on and so forth. And we need such companies as Ansei, which helps us as an aggregator in having access to all platforms for our content. And I'm interested what Alexander thinks. As I understand, and as people involved know, the American model of bonus universal is different from the Russian model. There is Warner, there is Universal. Under those, there is Interscope. Under that, other companies. And what happens is that when you are part of a great network with a big whale playing on the market, you can focus on creating music and create new stars, which you will help later to offer to the market. But if you're talking about sub-labels, it depends on the area. All those labels, major labels, are in Germany, France. They have their own Electro Atlantic, Interscope, and local ones, because the size of the market allows them to separate and to create smaller labels. Russia, according to FPI report, occupies the 23rd place. Next year, we will be in the top 20 of the musical market of the world. For me, it is of great significance. And then such structures will appear. We don't have it, as you correctly say. We are just one single label covering all genres of music. We focus on music. For us, it's the most important. The most important is commercial component. We can, and Warner has non-commercial labels, non-such, which produces strange folk, no classic, not very music, non-commercial jazz, but this is for the prestige, for major label, and it's a multi-million business, and the commercial component is very important. But at the same time, we follow independent labels. We enter distribution deals with them. and we provide different services to them, simple distribution or distribution plus marketing, and we help them in what they don't have their resources. And models are different, and they are different in all countries. The Chinese model is totally different. In Latin America, they have their own model with their nuances. And what is happening today, a local model will develop further because local music is becoming the most important aspect. It wasn't expected that in Germany, in the Netherlands, where traditionally they didn't have their own music, in German or in the Dutch languages, they will have markets where people are buying and stream and listen to their own performers. This is usually local hip hop, but not that only. And depending on that, we will know what model will be relevant for this or that market. Is my understanding correct that in the future there is a possibility, while Warner Universals and other big players developing their sub-labels, to create something of your own, to focus on creating music and on finding artists, intellectual content with support from your companies? In recent IP chain, you understand that a creative person is a person who doesn't want to do any paperwork. He doesn't want to sign papers. He doesn't want to read papers. He wants to produce his music. That's it. That's why all legal matters and promotion and promoting content to the markets, to the platforms. Will your companies help small players while big labels are not able to invite them as sub-labels? Valery, you are correct saying that every person, every professional should do what he is good in, and creative people should create. All others should be done by platforms or other professionals. And services which we're creating, these are services which can help authors and right holders in the digital environment without any additional efforts to manage content. And you are welcome to INRIS, you and your colleagues. We are ready to sign a contract with you right at this quorum. While we are in the digital environment, there will be no need to put any signatures. We'll just put ticks. The discussion is becoming more and more heated. I would like to make one step backwards. Alexander said that Russia is trying to get to the top 20 of musical markets worldwide. Andrew, could you please give me a clicker, because I have what to say, what to tell you about our achievements in contact. Because it's really so that our platform has done a big step forward. And we were in 2016, no, before that, in 2015, we were facing the choice what to do with our musical platform. For a long time, it was free, it was vacant. It was a pirate one, because people were uploading their music and it wasn't regulated. It was just a big store of music. Like clothes are all piled in a wardrobe, and everything is in a mess. But time introduces changes, and we started facing the choice. Either we start legalizing our musical service and sign and agree with right holders, or we reject that. And we agreed that our musical service will change its model. A new model will be introduced with the possibility of free listening and with subscription of 149 rubles. rubles. And I would like to thank our big friends, major labels, thanks to whom we managed to achieve these results. And in 2016, we announced we globally renewed our musical service. And what was the main thing was not to just sign an agreement, but to make the service the most convenient for our customers. For 2 years, we were updating our service. We introduced playlists. We introduced our own musical chat. And the main thing, what makes us different from other musical platforms, is that our music is inside the social networks, which allows us momentarily to disseminate the content. And before the service was legalized and updated, musicians were uploading their content, and they were uploading music in their public environment, and it was reposted by the fans. And the song as a tape before, in the 1990s, started being handed over from one hand to another, and in a short while, the number of listenings reached millions. Now we have more than 2 million of paid subscribers who pay a monthly fee of 149 rubles, and they have an expanded access to our musical service. And this means that you can cache a song in your mobile gadget and listen music for longer than 30 minutes and get a wider access to our music in contact. And having seen how young artists started addressing us, and rap singers, they are emerging in great numbers. And when we only started Veiki Festival, then we knew whom to invite. And for the 3 years, those were the same artists. But at the 5th festival, we had so many performing artists. And some don't last till next year, but within 1 year they're popular, they are big stars, and we need to work with that. We need to give them opportunities. We need to give the opportunity of service users and attendees of the festival to listen to that and to enjoy the performance of their favorite performing artists. We've introduced a platform for young musicians where one can fill in a questionnaire and send it and legalize your music on our platform. For you not to have only legal content, but for you to be able to earn money from that. Recently, I was approached by an artist who said that 2-3 years ago he couldn't even dream that for a song from VK he could earn more than 1 million 1 million rubles. This is a revolution that we're having in Russia, and this is a big step forward. And I hope that thanks to our joint efforts, the right owners and the right system that will follow, that their rights are honored. Thanks to that, we will succeed. Going ahead, let's think about the future, where we are all moving to and what the outcomes will be, because recently iTunes, Google Play and other services which used the old service of selling songs, they announced their closing down, and what is left is streaming. What do you think? Will it be transformed into anything new, or will it be strengthened and the number of people paying for music will increase 10, 15 times? let's address the experience of Warner Music, because you have large-scale marketing meetings where you discuss strategy and plans. You've attended one of those meetings. It's interesting to know what they say in the head office, what they think in the head office, what they plan to do to develop musical industry.
As I said, looking for a new format is one of the tasks, because in streaming in such countries as Sweden or Scandinavia in general has reached the upper limit, and at some stage it will finish. Everyone has a subscription. The population is not going to grow. Where to go? How to move forward? It's a relevant issue for those countries. And the situation in those countries compared to us, what is happening? Streaming is a new topic to us. It's mainly for school children and university students between 12 and 25 years old. When we look at your charts, Apple Music, 90% is rap or hip-hop. You did not see Odnoklasniki. I don't go there because it's very similar. Irina Krug is there. Well, they are there all the time. Well, they're not progressing so well, but anyway, streaming is about young people. But streaming is now also relevant for retired people. A record company, a catalog is essential. In charts, we have new things, but for them, catalogs account for a significant proportion. As you say, Odnoklasniki website, they still listen to Spice Girls, or it's becoming more important than Beatles. But Russia is just at the first stage. The number of paid subscribers in Russia is more than 6 million. It's 2 million in Spain. Of course, we shouldn't forget that the subscription fee is 4 times lower than in Europe. But the trend is inspiring. I think this trend will continue to be so within the next 10 years. We don't know what will be the format and how it's going to be developed. They will deal with blockchains and other technologies. Another aspect, there was a presentation. The Latin music has become more popular. It's not because more people listen to it. It's because more Spanish-speaking, the number of Spanish-speaking is too high, and it gives a push. And in the world, there are playlists. At some stage, probably the Chinese music will become most popular. We need to take into account all those factors, and Russia is at a rudimentary level at the beginning. When you feel for the next years, the situation will have a potential, and it will give a push, and more artists, more performance will come up. You've mentioned that guy who spoke about 1 million, but there will be more and more such artists. It's for people who start their lives with music, and they will be very creative. They will create hits, do something unusual. I'm quite optimistic about that for the next 10 years. Yes, indeed. It's being said that beginners in the rap music, they receive tens of millions rubles. it's difficult to imagine. It's without concerts. It's only from the sales of their records. Ivan, you were quite calm when Spotify was mentioned. I wonder what you personally think about it as the company representative and about your target audience and the number of subscribers. Do you take records of any statistics? I would like to refer to what has been discussed historically. It's been like this, that we used to have physical media. We used to buy music on discs on other media. Then a la carte was introduced, and gradually we moved to streaming. People prefer simplicity. If it is simple, if it is an easy way to get something, then it's most preferable. How is it going? How content is going to be consumed in the future? I think the main idea is that we should recommend, and there should be mechanisms, some helping tools with voice, how you can read and download music which you find most interesting. Regarding your question and Spotify, we have some ideas. You cannot but think about the platform. It's the biggest high-tech service offering a top product. In some regions, local services manage to compete with Spotify successfully. It's due to the fact that local services have a bigger expertise as far as a certain region is concerned. When we speak about Far East, of course, they know better which content and how to get closer to the local target group. Regarding technology solutions, then there can be a competition with Spotify. It's obvious that in order to successfully start up, a significant amount of money will have to be spent. Otherwise, it's unlikely that you can be a success. Alexander has already said, yes, it's about 6 million subscribers to streaming sources, and sooner or later we will reach the upper level, and then we will fight not for target audience. There will be a competition between products. It's important how they are going to position themselves and how to promote themselves. In a market which has several local services, it's quite challenging. I think they already started. I think it was in 2015 they tried to do something in Russia, but they understood that the Russian market is much more sophisticated. I would like to comment. There were some questions that you are supposed to store your data in Russia. There were some problems regarding the copyright fees. To comment your words, Ivan, Japan has a big market. It's number 3 in the world, and for a long time they were thinking, and finally they entered the market, and now they are facing difficulties to compete. Their late entry is a big disadvantage, and other services should take advantage of their coming late. I have a question to Valeria. I would like to discuss the big appearance due to VK of beat makers. Very often they borrow from abroad some hits, some music, and then they sell this music to their artists. Do you have a flow of such young guys? They do not necessarily live in Moscow. They may live in somewhere, let's say Siberia or elsewhere, like Medusa and others. They create tracks. Do you communicate with them? Do you, in any way, try to regulate, or how does it work?
Lately, we have heard about conflict situations which emerge because of the borrowed beats, and iTunes blocked phonograms of Black Stars, and there are many stories like that. In reality, it's a big market of beats, and it is very weakly regulated. There is a certain number of services where they sell and buy beats. We right now are thinking, and we have an idea of creating a simple service for this category of right holders to allow deponing of what they do, just to fix that they did it, and to easily sell and buy beats, and to issue licenses for those. And the service will be introduced to the market soon, and it will be easily attached to window shops involving IP chain, because this is a big market. It's transboundary, and musicians which make beats, they live in warm countries where they create those and sell them for 3,000-5,000 rubles several times worldwide. That's why it's important to fix whom they sell those beats to. Andrei, did you ever face problems when an artist is created and then it turns out that his beat is a stolen one? Regularly, several dozens of these cases a day. And we have to educate those artists and explain to them that they violate rights. And we are telling them that we will not support them on the market any longer. And then we have a storm of angry comments that they were not allowed to the window shop. But then we tell him that he stole the beat. We have to educate artists. But this is the second side of the coin of our work with young artists who have no information about how this market works and about how one should work on it. Valery, introduce your service, and we will refer them to you. We've already launched it. Give me the link. I mean the service that will work with beats. As soon as we have started talking about young musicians and them making mistakes, Valery, a question to you. How often among musicians there are those who don't have a clue about musical industry, and who are in negotiations with 20 different right holders? I know when musicians try to sell their products to several labels, and while they were doing it, the song left all the charts, all the tops, and it was all in vain. Have you ever met such guys? And maybe you will be able to tell us about the advantages of indie label compared to major labels. The main advantages compared to major labels: we don't wear any formal suits and ties. We are ahead of them because we are not trying to present ourselves as a label. We are a community of thinking people. Yes, very often we meet people 50 by 50% with absolute stupid proposals because the market today so it's clear. So a new artist appears, it hits the target. He has just a one-off flight, and then it lasts for 6 months, and then his popularity goes down, and he has no weight on the market left, and he is forgotten forever. Elvis Presley is still remembered, and his catalog is still earning money, while Medusa or Tim Belarus, for instance, was forgotten very quickly, while he claimed huge amounts of money. And when he was offered something, he said that for this money, I will not even move a finger. Okay, I will not go into detail. We all know these stories well. I don't know who indulged them, who spoiled them, but this is wrong. This was wrong. This is the wrong behavior. But I see a different problem. I have a feeling that artists promoting tracks and being part of streaming, they forget that they should be idols for young people. They should be recognized. And the problem is very similar to what happened some 10 years ago on the musical radio. Radio Energy is an example, when the song was a hit, but no one knew the performer, no one knew what the performer looks like. It could be a hot in the hot top for 6 months, and then it was impossible to sell tickets for concerts of the artist, of the performing artist. That's why artists shouldn't forget that along with earning money when touring, from streaming, it's also important to create one's image. It's also important to create the communication strategy to attend or not to attend certain TV shows and be active in social media. And we still lack this basic component for promoting any artist. As a result, for 3 months on, the track is in the top best, and then no one remembers the artist. And in 1 year time, from 30 big hits, some 2-3 performing artists are still remembered, and their posters are on the walls in bedrooms of 13-year-old girls. I believe that within this discussion, we were able to cover a big number of topics. I would like to address our audience. We have a microphone, and you have an opportunity to ask a question to any of the speakers, and you will get subscription for music in Contact and maybe in Yandex. Please introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Yulia. I have the following question to Yandex Music. Will there be ever in Yandex Music any benefits for students? Any discounts for students? It's a good question, thank you. Since 2 years ago, we are thinking about a student subscription. Unfortunately, everything depends on the limited resources which we have. We are thinking about it, and I hope that in the near future we will offer it. But our competitors already have this offer, and we know about it. And my answer is yes, we are thinking about it, and it will happen one day. A counter question: these 20 rubles a month, are they of any key importance for students? They are. They make a real difference. Because there are 12 months in a year. And I will be listening to Yandex Music for 1 year, for 2 years, not for 1 month. when you start thinking about it, and when you start counting, you need to pay for internet every month, and you have subscription for several things, for several services. You buy subscription for video services, and the monthly budget is so big that you start thinking about ways of reducing it, especially outside Moscow. That's why these 20 and 30 rubles make a difference for young people. And I'm surprised that in the last 2-3 years, 150 rubles, 170 rubles is what people are ready to pay for good music. More questions? Where is the microphone?
Alexander Alexeyev, I'm deputy head of the collective management Minsk, Belarus. I have 3 questions, if you don't mind, to different speakers. Number 1 goes from the previous. Piracy is for those who wants everything for free. So it's a question to Ivan. Such a tool as a promotional campaign does not provide such free things, free stuff. Can Yandex provide a free subscription for 3 months to improve the culture of consumption and attract additional customers? And are you afraid of Certify coming to Russia? Yes, indeed. We give new customers a probation period, a trial period, which is 3 months. Within those 3 months, you can listen to any music, you can do whatever you like, and after those 3 months, you can get a subscription or get rid of it. Or you can use a premium model that some content will be provided to you, which is called Shafamoto, an automatically generated playlist. You will have some music which will be in line with your mood, but maybe you will not be able to listen to music which you would like to listen, like, let's say, Madonna. You will get something, an alternative instead. Would you mind if I ask another question to Valeria? I'm not interested to lose my job. Can IP Chain promote in such a way that the collective management model will be replaced with a new one, and whether such competition is possible? Competition between whom? IP Chain was created by the collective management, by the IP Association in Russia, and IP Chain has signed an agreement with the involvement of some CIS countries like Kazakhstan and Belarus, Armenia, but they are tackling different issues. It's a separate discussion. Regarding IP Chain, it provides an infrastructure which includes an infrastructure for management sharks. They have labels and the public sector. Another question, I'm sorry. This question goes to Warner Music. In recent years, the amount of user content has increased by many times, which uses music, and platforms fight against that contact with artificial intelligence. Is it possible for individual to quickly obtain licenses and permits to produce stories or short videos? There is a user-generated content which you can use on YouTube. You can use our music, but you should give the money to us. What about Instagram? There is an agreement signed, but it hasn't reached Russia yet. It will be the same in Instagram. You can use music in stories, but Russia has not been yet included. But I think it will come. Colleagues, any more questions? Yes, please. Good afternoon. It's about young performers. It was mentioned that lately many of them have been spoiled and ask for too much. I don't know who spoiled them, by the way. The market has spoiled them. I'm interested in to know the portrait of such a performer. How should he or she look like? Is it a blonde girl with long legs? What's the portrait of such a customer that labels would be interested in? It's about some uniqueness and professionalism. It should be just something which makes you feel special about that piece of creativity. Yes, if you feel it's creative, and no matter whether you are a blonde girl, I would add, in principle, a performer is wonderful, but if a performer has no songs, then it doesn't work. We need a song, and preference will be given to musicians who have more than one song. In the best case, this performer should write those songs himself, but it's not so often like this. No one can guarantee. It's the most delicate point.
Давайте уж сразу быка за рога. Вы готовы к культурному налогу и стать бенефициарами культурного налога?
How to become a beneficiary of the cultural tax? You will get your fee. Everyone will calculate how much it's been heard and whether there is a surcharge. Then you make calculations. You understand that you cannot monetize some big data. It relates to students. You can pay with big data. Then the pie will be split and distributed at the cashiers. We don't like it. What will the others say? I don't see the difference where to get money from platforms or any specialized, any dedicated platforms. So sooner or later we will reach the authors, creators. I spoke with Yevgeny Safronov, argued. He on Facebook, he wrote 19 billion, and I tell him, you are boasting about these 19 billion. In the past, we didn't have so much. And it was about between 30 and 40 million. About students, maybe the industry doesn't know how to do It was a different time. We didn't have internet. There were no games, no serials. Competition. The music was clearer. Maybe we also read books at that time. But what we have now, it did not exist then. So it's like 40 billion at that time. There is a problem we are tackling. A colleague and I, we finished legal proceedings in a court, a dispute between a publisher and labels. So it's about a double sale. The author went to the Moscow City Court, and it's also about Yandex Music. We protected all of them because they were blocked, and we were supposed to save them. It was a play of words because, you know, in 2008, a new law was adopted. And everything could be sold at once. But since 2008, this law was single, and you couldn't sell it in pieces. But nobody explained how it works. And then we had that situation when this was converted into a single law. You know Roman Lukyanov, who was against us in that dispute. Anyway, we like Roman. And we told them, we sold you that stuff, but there was no internet right. You don't have that right. We will block you. And the fact that you bought some public stuff from us, how do you work with that? We had some good guys from Singapore. Maybe there should be some mediation.
I'm not a lawyer. That was just a legal case, but when something is blocked, then the streaming platform needs to provide evidence. And we had those cases, and it takes time. And maybe that was a complicating case, but from all the cases I experienced, we managed to find an agreement. The female holder came, I am the holder, I have the right, and the fact that you bought the right from me, because it wasn't specified by the law then. Maybe this is the question to Raul. I don't know what to say. I have no answer. The situation is that I had to participate in that. I was involved. The idea is that we were talking about IP chain and others. The IPQuorum actually is devoted to that topic. The story that Valeria was referring to about resolution of disputes in case of availability or lack of the rights is one of the most acute questions. Anatoly was talking about a single case that content was blocked, and not for a long time, for half a year. We experienced the same situation, you know, from the press, that for more than 6 months, the Kino group content was blocked because there was a dispute at the supposed right holder and the those who inherited the right. And those disputes, in my opinion, and when Warners and other right owners, they've developed and are testing the system of resolving those disputes concerning the availability of the right ownership. Now we are talking about music. We are not talking about filmmaking. There are owners of copyright and associated rights. And there was a question from Belarus whether there will be a replacement of collective management associations. There will be no replacement, and as Valeria said, and we were talking about streaming, and I have said to colleagues, I am older than 25 old. I don't use streaming services. I like doing it a la carte when I buy an album. When a normal man comes to a shop and buys something there, and buying in that kind of service is more convenient for me, but streaming services allow having a quick access to a big amount of information and a possibility to form playlists. I have an opinion about the recommendations of Yandex when they offer me something which I disagree with. And now we are talking about collective management organizations which are losing their function, which was there before, because digitalization is progressing, and having such services as Valeria described, it is really so that if I don't need support from a label. It's enough for me to come to Fresh Tunes, to upload everything there, and on 60 digital platforms worldwide, my content will be presented. Of course, there will be questions to Fresh Tunes because the moderation of the content with regard to conflicts is not perfect. A colleague of mine, Nikolai, conducted an experiment. He took an album of Michael Jackson, renamed the artist to Michael Johnson, and the original phonograms were uploaded to TuneCore. And for 1 year, they were there in TuneCore, and he then got $25 for that. Moderation of content is done superficially. And things that we are discussing today, apart from having services and platforms which help us to earn money, there is also a global problem, how to protect the author, the copyright holder, for Anatoly to be happy. There was a similar situation when we entered a contract with Jakalib, and he came and said, all my songs are uploaded to all charged platforms, services, and I don't know who did it. Help us. It took us a while, and then he added, but please don't tell me who did it. As a result, we cleaned everything up. There was just a dishonest man, a crook. He didn't have a label. He registered all those songs, and he earned quite a big amount of money. Of course, we got that money back and paid the artist, and we compiled everything in 3 albums, and those were released as his music was released as 3 albums. Such situations do help, and then a label is needed, protection is needed, and an opportunity to moderate such situations, to be able to give money back to the artist for him to continue creating. There were also times when users of in-content were able to listen to the music which was blocked. And there is a solution. Last year, we conducted a great amount of work with Dmitry Kozhemyakin sitting next to me for IP chain they were our client, conducted work about how in the digital world this problem of blockage should be resolved with getting money back. I will deviate a little bit from the core topic, but it will be important for you because it will describe the future development when you don't know whom to pay and you need to pay. Like the story you referred to when the author is not known, or when the right holder is not known, whether the person sold the rights or not. This will change the role of collective management associations. According to the law, you can use a public notary. And you can use the deposit of the public notary. When this big research work was done, we identified that what the collective management societies do, they are a specialized public notary for music. They should sort out whom this money should be given to. This is the dispute solution unit, which in the digital environment acquires a great importance due to the problems you've mentioned when you don't know whose music it is and who is the creditor to be paid for. And this problem that we have mentioned, the blocking of content for 6 months while we had our court proceeding, it wouldn't have emerged if the court said, let music be there, let people listen to it, and let money being collected. And what they do, they block market, they stop the process of earning money, and then they say, okay, we are removing the blocks, and now you can listen to the music. So this system, this new system should be applied. Or it can also, or without involving a court, you should try to agree amicably. Believe it's very difficult to agree without involving court. Everything should be blocked then, and then everyone will die happily. Friends, I propose that we should wrap up our discussion and continue on the margins of this forum. I am sure it was an interesting talk, and I hope that it was useful for you, and we'll be in contact. Thank you very much for attending.